I played Nier Automata, Become Gods Edition, when it was released for the Xbox. I knew what the game was when I bought it, but I didn't quite understand it, not until I beat the game the second time around. The first time I played, I didn't necessarily have a bad time. It's actually a fun, action-packed game and you feel cool playing it, especially when you pull off combo chains when surrounded by immeasurable odds. The main problem I had was my inability to immerse in the game. I tried to explore the world, but it was dreary and drab. There really was no point to search each nook and cranny, because other than orbs and maybe a chest, if you're lucky, there were no hidden surprises to find. At least, that's what I thought at the time. Now I know that orbs and chests will have special items that you might need next time because you failed to retrieve your previous body. And at times, this game can look quite beautiful. Still, at the time, I couldn't see its potential. I tried to speak to every NPC and complete the quest they offered, but it was mostly find this machine and retrieve some parts. I figured it would help me understand the world, and sometimes it did, but other times I felt NPCs were there as time wasters, something to fill the game with. 15 hours in, I got an overall picture of the story, but I was also left with questions unanswered. I knew there were secrets being kept from me. I didn't know why. Still, at 15 hours in, I wasn't really too enthused to play anymore. I got to the last boss, which I didn't know at the time, and no matter what, I couldn't beat it. I would get to a certain point, it would strike me down. So in between playing different games, I would jump back in and take a shot at the final boss, and again I would die. So eventually, I moved on. And that's when I made my first impression video, Nier Automata. It might be too boring for you. At the time, it was for me, but now I know I simply misunderstood it. I came back to Nier Automata months later. I figured there has to be a way to beat this boss. I didn't want to look online, I wanted to figure it out on my own. So I take a look at my plug-in chips, chip implants that give you perks, and I change things around a bit. I fight in an aggressive style, so the plugins I used were auto heal when not hit for 6 seconds, and melee attack +3 for more enemy damage. That combination has served me well, but something had to change. So I kept the auto heal and replaced the melee +3 for a chip that automatically uses health potions when my health reaches a critical point. This was a plugin I didn't know I had, but it was exactly the one I needed. This time when I got to the point where I would previously die, I could fiercely engage because I would constantly get healed and I would drop below 15%. Even if I was in full engagement and getting hit by the enemy, I was still not invincible, but I was much more powerful than I was before. When I beat the game the first time, it was like every other game you beat. You feel accomplished, but I felt like I didn't see everything this game had to offer me, even though I explored everywhere and I talked to all NPCs. After the credit rolls, you get a message that this game should be played again. Curious to see how it would differ, I continued to play. To my surprise, this time instead of playing as 2B, you play as 9S, a scanner. So you see the story through his eyes, and the story comes together a bit more. You learn secrets not privy to 2B, through dialogue that only 9S took part of. The first run through, I felt that part of the story was being kept from me. The second run through filled in those gaps. It wasn't only new story revelations that were different, but 9S gameplay is a bit different too. 9S is a scanner, which means he's able to hack into machines. So when I engage the enemy, my fighting style is totally different than it was when I was playing as 2B. With 9S, I can still engage the enemy head-on with sword and pod, but I'm more powerful when I hack attack. The stronger the enemy, the better their defenses. The hacking minigame is fun. Some are easy as dodging the enemy bullets while you shoot it down, but they also get more complex. And what's also pretty neat, if you just want to play the shooter minigame, you can. It has a standalone option in the main menu. And what's neat about it, your collection will grow with each variation of level you come across. So you'll find yourself hacking every robot just to add levels to your collection. It's pretty clever. That's not the only thing 9S hacking does. He's also able to take control of robots, use them in battle, or even have them self-destruct. And you also get insight of what certain robots may be thinking. Moments like these expand more on the story, and it reminds you that there's still so much more you're not being told. The first time I fought the robot, whose name I now see as Simone, she came across as some kind of psycho, and she is. But when I hacked into her with 9S, I finally understood what drove her to madness. Love. Love drove Simone to madness. But how can love, a human emotion, drive Simone, a robot, to madness? The answer to this question and many more is not answered on the second run-through. In Simone's case, an old machine life form once told her, beauty is what wins love. After researching the old world, she thought she finally learned the truth. Beauty is pretty skin. Beauty is stylish accessories. Beauty is looking one's best. So she was on a quest to become beautiful. For him, another robot. In the process, losing herself. And before I knew it, I had destroyed her. I had killed Simone. I tried to look at the bright side and say to myself that I was putting her out of her misery. The first playthrough was a rough journey for me. I tried to experience the whole game in one run-through, and I got burnt out along the way. It almost felt like I was being pulled along by a string, showing me what they thought was enough to keep me interested until my second playthrough. They failed, hence my first video. But I'm glad I came back to it, and I can't wait to play it again, which is weird because I usually don't replay story-driven games more than once. At least not right after I just played it. I usually explore the crap out of my games the first run-through, so I have no reason to go back. So I understand gamers not wanting to replay the game just to get the full story, all that grind, all those missions over again. But that's not the case with Nier Automata. With the second run through, yes, you'll have to do the main missions, but you keep all your items and experience. Where in the first run through, certain bosses were difficult, in the second run through, I dealt with them much easier. And a game is always more fun when you're kicking ass, especially in style. The side missions kept any progress you did in the first run through, so you don't have to repeat missions you already completed. Even though I shared encounters with certain enemies, there's still stuff I came across my second run through that I left untold, and there's still definitely a lot of secrets being held back. I actually can't wait to play through the third time, just to see if the game can continue to surprise me. I think I might spend more time fishing the third time around.